Bismillahirrahmanirrahim and Assalamu alaikum. Welcome to Azad Jammu Kashmir Textbook Board. Dear student, this is Hamna bint Shehzad. आज के इस वीडियो लेसन में हम देखेंगे साइंस फॉर द ग्रेड 6 का यूनिट नंबर 2 एंड द टाइटल ऑफ यूनिट इज रिप्रोडक्शन इन प्लांट्स। जैसे कि आपको पता है कि हम एक्सरसाइज स्टार्ट कर चुके हुए हैं, तो आज हम लेक्चर नंबर 9 में देखेंगे एक्सरसाइज का रिमेनिंग पार्ट। गिव शॉर्ट आंसर्स, डिफरेंशिएट बिटवीन एसेक्सुअल एंड सेक्सुअल रिप्रोडक्शन, कंपैरिजन हम इसमें करेंगे। सबसे पहले हम देखते हैं एसेक्सुअल रिप्रोडक्शन में क्या होता है। गेमेट्स आर नॉट प्रोड्यूस, ऑफस्प्रिंग्स हैव कैरेक्टरिस्टिक्स ऑफ ओनली वन पेरेंट, अ लार्ज नंबर ऑफ प्लांट्स आर प्रोड्यूस इन अ वेरी शॉर्ट पीरियड ऑफ टाइम, ऑफस्प्रिंग्स आर आइडेंटिकल टू द पेरेंट। और सेक्सुअल रिप्रोडक्शन क्या होती है, गेमेट फ्यूज विद ईच अदर, ऑफस्प्रिंग्स हैव मिक्स्ड characteristics from the both parents, the number of plants produced is less, offsprings are not necessarily identical to the parents. Question number 2, what are the male and the female parts of a flower? Stamens are the male parts of a flower. Each stamen consists of a filament and an anther. The anther produce pollen grains. Each pollen grain contains two male gametes called sperms. Carpel is the female part of a flower. Carpel consists of stigma, style and ovary. Ovary produce ovules. Define pollination. Pollination is the first stage of sexual reproduction in flowering plants. The transfer of pollen grains from the anther of a stamen to the stigma of a carpel is called pollination. Name a few pollinators. Birds, bats and insects are few pollinators. Define a sperm and an egg. Sperm is a male reproductive cell and an egg is a female reproductive cell. Which part of a seed develops into the first root, zygote? Exercise 2.3, constructed response question. Cells are the structural and functional units of living bodies. What are reproductive cells? Reproductive cells are cells used to reproduce offsprings. What are the reproductive cells produced in a plant body? Reproductive cells produced in a plant body is carpel and stamen. Why do reproductive cells combine in a plant body? Reproductive cells combine in a plant body to make seeds. Flowers are the organs of sexual reproduction in plant. Write a detailed note on pollination in plants. Pollination. Pollination is the first stage of sexual reproduction in flowering plants. The transfer of pollen grains from the anther of a stamen to the stigma of a carpel is called pollination. Pollen grains can come from the same flower or from another flower of the same kind of a plant. Self-pollination. The transfer of a pollen grains from anther to the stigma of the same flower or anther or an other flower on the same plant is called self-pollination. Pea, tomato, rice, etc. reproduce by self-pollination. Cross-pollination. The transfer of pollen grains from the anther of one plant to the stigma of the flower on another plant of the same kind is called cross-pollination. Mango, orange, apple, papaya reproduce by cross-pollination. Explain fertilization in plants. The surface of the stigma of a carpel is sticky and pollen grains stick to it. Here a pollen tube grows out from each pollen grain. Two sperms are present in the pollen tube. The tube grows downward through the style and enters the ovary. The pollen tube finally enters an ovule and releases its sperm in it. One of the sperm combines with egg to form zygote. Describe the structure of a seed. A seed requires air, water and suitable temperature to germinate. Water helps the seed coat to swell up and break. Radicle and plumule. Write a note on fruit. The fruit is the offspring of pollination. Now question 2.4, differentiate between the following: self and cross pollination. Self-pollination. The transfer of pollen grains from the anther to the stigma of the same flower or another flower on the same plant, peas, tomato and plants. The transfer of pollen grains from anther of one plant to the stigma of the flower on another plant of the same kind, mango, orange, apple, papaya. Fertilization and germination. Differentiate between the following. The process of fusion of the sperm with an egg is called fertilization. Germination. The process of settling in a seed in the soil and finds favorable conditions for the growth is called germination. Now, difference between natural vegetative and artificial vegetative propagation. Differentiate between the following. Natural vegetative. A type of asexual reproduction in which vegetative part like stem, root and leaf develop into a new plant. Artificial, when human grows plant from the vegetative parts of plant. Tubers and bulbs. Now tubers. Underground stems are called tubers. Tuber has eyes on it. Bulbs. Underground stem with the thick leaves are called bulbs. Layering and grafting in plants. Grafting, a method used to join parts from the plant so that they appear to grow as a single plant, is called grafting. Layering, a method in which stem is made to produce root which stem attached to the parent plant is called layering. I hope आपको आज का वीडियो लेसन पसंद आया होगा। एक नए वीडियो लेसन के साथ हम फिर मिलेंगे, तब तक के लिए अल्लाह हाफिज़।